A pleasant good night to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again for another exciting conversation. I am your host, Chantel Neal, and I'm here with my husband.
Shane Neal.
Yes, and this is Business and Finance Bootcamp live session number two. All right, so tonight we're talking about another interesting topic, and we are talking about how to resolve conflicts, financial conflicts in marriage. How to resolve financial conflicts in marriage. Mr. Neal, are you ready?
Yes.
So what are we going to say? Let's get down to business. All right, and we are back. Thank you again for joining us. And we are here, like I said in the beginning, we have another exciting conversation that we want to have tonight. Financial conflict in marriage. Is that something that you face? Financial conflict in marriage? When it comes to marriage, there's many conflicts, but finance, I'm not sure if you would agree or disagree. Finance, I think, is one of the main things couples argue about. What do you think about that?
Well, I totally agree. When I look at it. If you guys plan the marriage, if you're planning the wedding, then I believe you can plan how you're planning on spending the finance. And if you are planning the marriage or the wedding, as we would say, if you're planning the wedding and you see that it was a success with both of you coming together and putting the budget together and putting things in place, then I believe you can come together on that same terms of also putting your finance and your resource together as well.
Definitely. All right? On our screen at this moment, we have a question there, like a statement there that we want for you to tell us if you agree or disagree. Put it in the comment section. Let us know if you agree or disagree. And the statement says, for a lot of couples, money fights aren't just a small bump in the road. They can become a major roadblock. The reality is that fighting over money isn't just holding you back financially. It trickles down to all aspects of your marriage and your life. This is so true.
Yes.
Tell us in the comments if you agree or disagree that marriage or arguing over finance does not only affect your finance, but it affects your complete marriage, your life, your health. And these are some of the things we're going to be looking at in our program tonight. So let us know. Share with us your comments, be a part of the discussion tonight because we're here to learn. But as usual, before we get into it, Mr. Neal, we have our disclaimer. We are not anyway professionals. We're just here sharing our experience. And we are very passionate. We're very passionate about finance. We're very passionate about helping families, win with money. And so we want to share what we've learned with you, our viewers tonight. All right. And so we want to encourage you to share the link, because our discussion tonight is very engaging. And we'll be sharing some tips that has helped us, and I'm sure it will help you as well.
And I believe that tonight the topic is very interesting, as what you had shared. A lot of people when they get into marriage, they don't consider the fact that it's two different persons coming together, which means what was just for you is now also for me. What was just for her or for me is now belongs to you. So in other words, we're not going to live separate lives, but we're coming together, which means we're pulling our resources together to allow it to work. And you find that when it happens, there's always a conflict because the husband is saying that, hey, I'm used to doing things this way, and the wife is saying, I'm used to doing things this way, but no, it's no longer what you used to do that way or this way, but it's what we can do together as a spouse in order
Now,
for us to work.
I like what you said, but I want to put you on the spot. I like to put you on the spot, right? Have in our 15 years of marriage, March will have 16 years. In our 15 years of marriage, can you think of a time we've had a conflict, financial conflict in our marriage?
The I would say the first part.
The first part.
The beginning aspect of the marriage where the finance was low. And I think one of the thing that we had conflict was when you had decided to give up your teaching job. When you gave up a teaching job and then you went into a business, and you didn't just say, okay, I'm going to stop teach and then do this, but you just gave up that security. And from once you gave that up, that's when we realized that we kind of started to struggle financially.
It was hard.
And what it did to us, it kind of create a ripple effect. It affected our marriage because now that security, that secure fund that was coming in was no longer there. And so it was one funds that was coming, one aspect of the funds that was coming in on my end. And so it wasn't enough. And so we kept having that clash. And so I believe that was the aspect where we didn't really see eye to eye financially because, the finance wasn't as what we wanted. And it just kept us to go back and forth. Simple things we would argue for. It's not that, it really required to be argued about, but the finance aspect wasn't there. We weren't stable financially and we had problems.
Yes.
And I think that was the biggest aspect.
I agree. And at that point in time, we did not really understand the whole concept of finance, and so we were making financial decisions based on feelings, and, not decisions that's based on what's the reality. And so when I did that, I just quit my job without even thinking about a plan B or how it would affect the home. I don't even think we had sat down to really evaluate that. I just quit off of feelings, and we had bills. We had bills to pay. At that time, we had a loan that we were paying.
Yes.
So I did not sit to process how that would have affected us. I just quit off of feelings and we did not have a plan B, and it caused great strain on the marriage. My husband, who I loved so much in the beginning, became like my enemy at one point. And this is how it is. When there is conflict, financial conflict in your marriage, the marriage loses its essence. No, marriage isn't built on finance. I just want to dispel that myth one time. It's not built on finance, it's built on love, but finance is important.
And which is true. Many people feel as though, hey, I love you and you love me and butterflies in the belly and all of that. But let me tell you something. After the marriage, after the wedding is finished, and for those of you who might be planning on getting married, after the wedding is finished, its reality kicks in.
Yes.
Why I say that? Because your lives you are starting a new journey with a new person. And once the finance is up to mark, for the first, you will kind of overlook certain things because,
you love this person, you don't want him or her to feel
after a year or so and the finance is not there as you want it to be, that's when you realize that, hey, we are in trouble. We are sinking. We need help. And you find the marriage there's a problem in the marriage because no finance is there. Struggle to pay the bills and struggle to do this and struggle. I mean, there are times when you had quit your job where we didn't have gas in the tank. There are times I have to be borrowing money from my brother, family member.
Yes.
Every day we would have to put a $10 bill, a $10 in the gas, and the vehicle. Thank God it was a 4-cylinder vehicle, but it just showed you how finance can impact your marriage.
Yes.
I mean, finance can take a healthy marriage and just drive it in the ground. Because now you start seeing with the finance, you start seeing this person as your enemy, because you feel as though, hey, I'm the one that's carrying this family financially, and I feel as though my spouse is not doing anything. And what you do, you start blaming. You behave like Eve and Adam, where a blame game. Hey, I don't think you're doing your part, your aspect of bringing in finance, and so it creates a back and forth and quarrel and strife, and so it is very, very important to look into that.
Of course. Now, I know you've said a mouthful there. I just want to invite our audience tonight to, let us know if you're hearing us well. Let us know what you think about the discussion. I see I have our friend Nareen Paslick, who's watching tonight. Hi, Nareen. She's watching back in Belize. We're thankful that you could join us and invite you to share the link with others so that they can join as well. Tonight, we're talking about what's the topic? Tonight we're talking about resolving financial conflicts in marriage. And we say marriage, but remember, it's not just for married couples.
Yeah.
At some point you might be single, and at some point in your life you may be thinking of getting married. So these tips can be helpful for you as well. So don't feel like, oh, it's just for couples. If you're single as well, it can work for you. Now, as time is fastly going, let's get to our first points. How fighting over money impacts your marriage. We want to look at some things, some ways how fighting over money impacts your marriage negatively. And the first point says a lack of shared dreams. That's one of the impact. One of the negative impact that arguing over money causes a lack of shared dream. What does this mean? Well, it means that because you argue so much about money, you avoid each other. You don't share the same dreams. You don't want to dream with that person. And that's one of them, a very important thing in marriage. When you're a couple, you plan together. You make plans, you have dreams and aspirations. And so one negative thing that arguing over money causes for the household is that you do not share the same dreams or goals, I'd want to say.
Another one that says that it also creates financial infidelity, where you feel as though you have to you make purchases. For those who like buying online, they would make purchases, and as they make these purchases, they kind of hide it from their spouse, and you feel as though, hey, I'm going to make this purchase, and I'm going to not reveal to my wife, because if I tell her what I'm planning on buying, she won't allow it, and it will create. And so even when you purchase things like that, and she finds out, then it still creates problems.
It causes huge problems.
So it creates problems. So whatever, when it comes to buying, you must inform, and both of you must look at it and say, hey, is this something that we really need? Is this something that you really need to purchase? So you need to just avoid doing things and hiding, buying
each other's
all right, guys, it won't amount to anything.
In marriage, honesty is very important, and I need to be able to trust my spouse, and my spouse needs to be able to trust me. Each of us have bank cards. I cannot be thinking that you have the bank card and you're just swiping here, swiping there. By the time I go to check the account, it's at zero. And so we're saying tonight that when you argue over money, it causes negative effects, and one of them is financial infidelity. Your spouse will not come clean. They will not come clean, and it's important that we put everything on the table, especially when it comes to finance in your marriage. All right. Another negative effects of arguing over money is poor health. Poor health. Study shows that money stress can negatively impact your blood pressure, and that's so true. Back and muscle pain, mental health, and more. Have you found yourself lately with back pain, high blood pressure? Are you stressing over money? So you see how conflicts, financial conflicts in your marriage can also deteriorate your health. And so we need to make sure that we are overcoming these conflicts by spending better, by improving the way we communicate. And these are some of the things we're going to look at later on in the program.
And one of the things you don't want to be having a bad time at work and then coming home and fighting as well. All right. Where the home should be a place where both individual can say, hey, this is where we're at in terms of the finance. This is where we're at. It's one thing for you to come home and then have to be fighting over money. And that's why I said in the beginning that when both of you are on the same, you're seeing everything together, and you're on the same level, whereby you realize that your goals are lined up together, and you realize, like, hey, guess what? We need to make sure that our finance, and not only that, but it goes as far as it not only affect both spouse, but it also affect the children as well.
Yes.
So when your child is growing up and they would go to school and they would see their friends having nice things, nice school bag and nice footwear, and the one that they're wearing is not good, they might be asking question. And so when the spouse work together and they would get their finance together and try and resolve, it not only help you and help the family, but it, like what you had mentioned earlier, it also helps with your health. All right, bring down your blood pressure. You don't have to be worrying about where the funds will come from, but you know that the money is there. You can go to the bank and pull out a little $5 or a little $100 because you have been working together, building up your funds, and you'll find it a sense of ease when you know that, hey, my wife and I, we're working together. We're or every month our bills are paid, or we have groceries. It literally keeps your blood pressure and everything at a nice level, because you don't have to be worrying and stress out.
I think one of the hardest things for a marriage, besides infidelity and adultery and all of that, I think one of it is finance. And as simple as it may sound, you may say, oh, money comes, money goes, but money is important in a household. And so this is why we want to invest our time in helping our viewers to understand, or couples or single, whoever, we want to spend our time in helping to educate our viewers on how to do better. And tonight, as we are focused on the topic of resolving conflicts, we are looking at some points, some negative effects that these conflicts have on the marriage. And another negative effect is lack of trust. Lack of trust. When money is a constant source of tension, it breaks down trust in the relationship. And this is so true. This is so true. We want for you to engage with us in the conversation. Put your comments in the comment section. What do you think about this? When money is a constant source of tension, it breaks down trust in the relationship. If we are constantly arguing over money, I will not trust him, or he will not trust me, because when you do have a little bit of money, I'm not going to trust that person. He or she might squander it, or might be buying things secretly. And so trust is vital, even when it comes to the finance.
So true. Most individuals, they would, when it comes to meals, they would hold on to their money, or some of them would say, hey, before I go home, I will make sure I take a little drink, or eat a little food or something, because I know when I go home that this money, I'll have to give my wife this money. And so they make sure they eat a little something from the money. But the key thing is that when you're working together, you don't have to be worrying about, hey, I need to buy this or buy that, because you know that that's factored in the budget. That is something that is placed there. So when you're working together with your spouse in terms of trying to get your finance in together, you realize that you don't have to be hiding. Your wife trusts you because you know she knows that, guess what, whatever money he makes, I know that he's not going to be spending it on things that is not needed. So if you can get hold of that lack of trust, you know that it's something that you won't have a problem with, because you can give an account for where the money is going.
And what are some of the qualities? What are some of the qualities you would see in a woman that you know that you can trust with finance, with the money? You know that she will not just go and squander it out, or just blow it out in one in a shopping spree.
So what are qualities? Well, from your dating, from the moment
help your male audience along the way.
Well, from the moment you're dating, when you're dating someone, you there are certain qualities, there are certain things that that individual will display. For example, you will look and see when the person they won't be buying stuff that seems unnecessary. For example, if you're dating someone and you see that the person, every pay week, that person has a brand new outfit or a brand new purse, you need to start asking some question, because there's no way a woman will be able to use 10 different purse.
Well,
it's not possible. I mean, there is no way. So if this individual is buying about 10 different purse, or keeps buying new things every week, then you need to start asking some question. Hey, I believe that you're not doing well with your finance, because you keep buying things that aren't really needed, right? So you just got to look out for the red flag. Look out for things that you feel as though the person is overspending. Another thing is that when you're dating someone, you look to see if the person, when it comes to lunch, you ask the person, hey, do you buy lunch every day? Do you take lunch to work? And the person say, hey, you know what? I purchase lunch every day. Every day I buy lunch. Then you need to start looking at that, because while she's spending about $10 for a plate of food, she could use that same $10 and divide and get that's 2 meals for 2 days.
That sounds like the Proverbs,
right?
Proverbs 31.
So
31.
So
that sounds like the Proverbs 31 woman.
It's just looking to see how she spends her money. How she spends her money can to a certain extent determine how she will spend our money, or the family money, because now she's not budgeting, she's only satisfying herself, she's not preparing for the future.
And I also like to add, remember that even in budgeting, it's not a one-sided thing. It's not my responsibility or your responsibility. It's both of us together. So the burden should not be on just the wife too. I know that's the norm.
Yeah.
In our culture, the norm is that the man works, bring home the money, and then the lady, the wife has to be putting rubber band, all kind of thing around that money to stretch it and make it work. But that's not how it should be, Both of us put our monies together. We sit down, we make a budget, and both of us have the responsibility of managing the funds that we have left.
True. All right, I see Sister Noreen Pasley. First of all, I want to say good night to Miss Smith.
Yes, good night, Miss Smith.
And also we see Sister Noreen posted. He said, yes, start by choosing the right partner and getting to know the individual well. Ask a lot of questions. Yes, and observe and do investigation and pray to God.
Amen.
I agree with you 100%, Noreen. You got to be observant. There are some people who are just too caught up with the love, and man, the gentleman is have about 20 different pair of Michael Jordan shoes, and yet you're still so in love because you love the way. Hey, there's no way you can use all those Michael Jordan shoes. You're overspending. So while you're dating, that's the best time to take and observe and look and see, how is this person spending his money? Is this person, ask them, hey,
spendthrift.
You ask them a question like, hey, I notice that you're spending your money a lot. What are you preparing? Are you saving? ask them question. Where are you saving? Hold it, my credit union. Where are you saving your money?
And don't feel like it's questions you should not be asking. Those are exactly the questions you should be asking, because remember, you are this person is potentially your husband. And if he's not well with finance, you will be struggling. You will be struggling. And so asking these questions is not too inquisitive. You need to know, because this person might potentially be your husband. And so you need to know. And if he's hesitant in answering, that's a red flag. That's a red flag, because everything needs to come out on the table. You should not be finding out that he has this huge debt 5 years into the marriage. You should know about that before you get into the marriage. Then you can make a decision for yourself. Do I want to marry this man? Should I not marry this man? Do I want to carry this burden? Which that should not be a reason for you not to marry somebody. I want to put that out there one time. But I'm saying, remember, when you get into that marriage, you will carry that burden as well.
And also, that helps you to know where the individual may be, his or her mind. Because if you're giving them quality information, or if you're giving them some very potent information to say, hey, I believe you need to start thinking about saving some money, because you never know. And if the person would look at you and say, hey, don't worry about how I spend my money, then you need to start thinking, is this the person I want to get married to? Because if he's telling me this and we're only dating, because normally, as what they would say in the dating phase, that's when the person is very free hand, and they will give and they will listen. But if they don't want to listen, then you need to start thinking what you're getting yourself into.
And how you are treated in your dating phase is exactly how you'll be treated while you're married. And that can be deceptive too, because sometimes they treat you so well in the dating stage, and when you get into marriage, it's somebody else, so just don't overlook those red flags. Now, as we're moving along, I want to share one last negative effects of financial conflicts in a marriage. And this one is a big one, and that's the D word, right? The divorce. Divorce is one of the negative effects of conflicts in marriage. It would be tough for a marriage to break up or to fall apart and end up in divorce because of finance. Finance is something that we can resolve. Finance is something that can be resolved. The key there is both of us have to be willing to put everything on the table. We have to be willing to change our behaviors, because sometimes we come in with behaviors that are, aren't healthy for the home, especially when it comes to the finance. So I have to be willing to ease off of my spending habits and wanting everything I see, in order for our home to be financially healthy. And then we have another comment. Thank you so much, Noreen, for engaging in the conversation.
She posted, call them the great pretenders. All right. Everything looks good when they're dating, and then when they get into marriage, it's a whole different story. All right.
One last point on the divorce. It says arguments about money are by far the top predictor of divorce. It's not children. It's not sex. It's not in-laws or anything else. It's money for both men and women. That took my breath away when I read that, right? All these things that we have thought, were the reasons why divorce occur. One of the big ones there is right in front of our eyes is money. And you might ask the question, what would make a wife and a husband make that decision for divorce just because of financial conflicts? Well, this is how serious it is. This is how serious this topic is tonight. And so we want to, as we're moving along, we want to be able to share with you some ways how you can resolve these financial conflicts, and some of these ways that we're going to share tonight are some of the things that we have done. We're not saying that we have it all together. We're not saying that we're millionaires. We're not saying that, we've mastered it, but we have come a long way. We've come a long way. And in the 15 years of marriage, I can safely say about 5 of it was financially rough. Rough is not the word. Like, is there anything bigger than rough?
I see. I mean, it was really bad.
And I think the D word came up several times.
It was really bad.
The D word came up several times because we just did not know what to do.
And it's not, and the thing is that it's not like people, like, you have to really research and really have to try your best to go on the internet and, but it's not like, these are not things that people would say and discuss. Oftentimes you find people would share different things, but I believe that even within our church, within our Adventist church, we must be realistic. It's not, and there are some who will say, "Oh, you don't need to talk about finance." But let me tell you something. There are people who, and I'm getting real. There are people who you might see as though, hey, things are happening. But let me tell you something. Once you encounter financial challenges, it will be rough. I've heard and I've seen where strong marriages go haywire because financial issue, where they just couldn't seem to work things out. Finance is very important, and as once you can get hold of your finance with the help of God, I believe a lot of your challenges, a lot of the fights in marriage, you will definitely be able to overcome as well.
And I want to stick a pin there before we begin to share our resolutions. You have some household where in the beginning the husband does not want the wife to work. And that's quite okay. If he sees that it's something he can manage, he can afford, then good. Maybe you are in a household where you are a housewife. You don't work outside the home, you work inside the home. And that's fine if it works for you. But if push comes to shove, God forbid your husband loses your job, or God forbid something happens, then you should be willing to, I believe as the wife, you should be willing to get up and get a job or do something from home. There should never be a point in time where you are sitting and waiting for your husband to bring in all of the monies. I mean, back in the day, that was easy, because you didn't have much.
Not even back in the days, because I remember, I tell you, I love my parents.
It's risky.
I've seen.
It's risky, though, Shane, because
I know.
sickness can come in.
Sickness
can come in, and all kinds of things. Your house will be better if 2 incomes coming in.
I love while growing up, I've seen where my dad was working. He was a breadwinner for the home, and I remember my mom, who used to do house cleaning, and I remember while we were living in the city there in Belize, I saw my mother took us to work at times, and she would have us to play in the yard while she's washing, while she's doing everything, because she realized that the finance that my dad was bringing wasn't sufficient for the home. Now, my mom, it was 6 of us, 7 of us. My dad could have said, stay home. But my mom realized that, hey, me staying home won't help to contribute towards the bills, right? And so I still have to say this, that wives, cut out of those things where the days are gone, where housewife,
even if you're at home, you can make some monies from home. I remember at one point I was at home when the boys were small, and I sold clothes.
Even with that,
I sold clothes. I sold powder bun. For y'all who know me from Ladyville, I sold powder buns. I sold clothes from home, and I had an income that I brought in. So don't feel that, oh, your husband is handling everything. He says for me to stay home, and that's fine if it's something you can afford. But if there comes to a point in your marriage where that isn't working out anymore, don't feel hard to get up and go and get a job, because 2 income coming into the home is better than 1. And if you're not able to go out and get a job, don't feel hard to start something from your home, like I did.
Yes. So it's all about working together.
Yes.
Collaborate together.
Working together.
And putting things together.
All right, let's get to the first resolution. Remember, the topic tonight is how to resolve financial conflict in your marriage. It says money fights and money problems are painful. They are. If you're struggling to get on the same page with your spouse, use these tips to restore the peace. You know, and the first one is to recognize and appreciate your differences. I'm different from Shane. He's different from I am, you know, and I must acknowledge him, give him his respect, and same for me. It says being aware of our differences is the first step to actually being able to appreciate them. Use that to maintain balance during your money talks. So I am not above him. Even if he brings in more money than I do, I am not above him. Even if I bring in only $50 to add to the budget, I am not beneath him. So we must accept and respect each other's differences, even if it's differences in the amount of finance you bring in. That $50 that I bring in to add to the budget
can pay a bill.
Of course, it can pay a bill. So do not take it lightly.
And before we go further, I just want to say hi to some people. I saw my aunt Marguerite Neal from Chicago. She's watching. All right, I want to say a good night. Also, Sister Noreen says, "True, brother, not spoken enough in church." And the thing is, a lot of the verses speak about money. It is true.
Of course.
When we got married, all we heard about when we were doing some counseling, 90 to 95% of the counseling was about sex and enjoyment. The 5% was what? Wasn't even about money.
Their communication.
But I'm saying that money can affect your marriage. In fact, as we're speaking, there are some marriages who are facing some tough time because of money, and especially during the pandemic, where some spouse or some husband, they lost their job because of money, and they're still trying to find job. So we see that money, it can put a dent in the usual, the romance and everything. If
nobody want romance if there's no financial peace. I'll be the first to say that. If I'm stressed out over finance and there's no money and there's no romance there. There is no romance there. So you can cancel that out. So if you want romance, you gotta make sure the finance and everything is clear. And I'm not saying you're a millionaire or you have a whole lot, but there has to be peace in that area for the romance area to be enjoyable and for you to have peace there too. All right. And so discussions on finance is needed to be had. Everybody's talking about everything except the big one, finance. All right. And so I want to read one last point here before we go to the next one. It says here, don't just hear your spouse's concerns. Really listen to them and look for the truth in what they say. You're not the only one with a perspective on the issue, which is why it's super important to listen first and speak later. And this is so true. When we communicate, a lot of times we communicate and we talk down, but that's not how it's supposed to be. When you communicate, you listen to that person, see into what he or she is, alluding to. You agree to disagree. Now, the next point, we kind of spoke about it last week, and we want to, repeat it again. The next point says, share a joint bank account. You want to resolve financial conflict in your marriage? Then share a joint bank account.
What that will do, that will allow any speculation or any distrust or anything, that lack of trust between both spouses to resolve, because now you just have one account. Like right now we have two accounts. So we have we have our credit union account, and then we have our bank account. And so both of us are aware of what's in whatever is what goes in a account or whatever, and so there's nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Nothing for us to hide from each other of saying I'm spending money or my wife is spending any money, but it's just for you to keep accountability of what is happening. And with that, you will see that, hey, this is where we're at financially. All right, we're at this financially. How can we fix it? How can we remove from being here and go to this spot? So it helps you to be able to communicate and be able to know exactly where you're at financially. All right, so this is very, very important to have joint accounts because you can
I think
monitor.
one of the reasons why people are scared of having joint accounts, this it's always a ticklish topic when you get to that joint account. I love you, but when it comes to the money, that's something different, right? But it should not be. When you got married, you said the pastor said two become one. He says you are now one. Even in your finance, you are one. You might not want to accept it right now, but you are one even in your finance, and we have two accounts. One is for bills and the other is for our savings. And I have access to the account. It's not like it's my husband alone running the account. I am able to withdraw, I am able to deposit. And so there's complete transparency there when it comes to our joint account. Nobody has the authority over the account. And your fear, I'm not sure what your fear might be. Put something in the comments on what you think about having joint accounts. For us, it's a go. It's easy for us. And so I'm not sure what it's like for you. Have you had any bad or good experience with having joint accounts with your spouse? It works for us. When we pay bills, all the monies go in one direction. It's not all over the place, and from there, we are able to budget and the bills are paid and everything is up to mark. Everybody knows what's happening. And so you don't have that stress of wondering where the money is going.
And I hope one of these Thursday night we'll do one in budgeting where we'll show you how to do a full budget in terms of. So you guys need to just look out for that. That's coming very short soon. All right. But like what you had mentioned there, one bank account it's not your money or my money. It's our money. The
no matter how small, no matter, because sometimes you have a marriage where one party is bringing in more than the other party, and so that spouse might think that, oh, I bring in majority of the money, so it's my money. That's not how it works in the sight of the Lord. Both finances come in, whatever it may be, and they go into one account, and from there you make your budget, you pay your bills, and whatever plans and goals you're working towards, you put your monies towards that, you put your monies towards your retirement, and that's how it is.
Yeah, and there are times where my wife would have, while we got married, there are times she made more money than me, and I felt it didn't even matter to me because at the end of the day, it's one money coming in.
And you don't make your spouse feel bad.
I didn't feel anyway.
Feel bad if he or she makes less money than you do. It's not a competition. It's not a competition. You are working together towards one goal. And so when you have competition coming in the midst, that's always a room for a disaster.
And the thing is, don't let, mainly for the males, let's not let our ego create problem to say that, hey, my wife is making more money than me, so you know what, let's go half and half because you're making more. No. At the end of the day, when you said I do at the altar, you agree to say we are one, which means everything that I make, everything that you make is for us, is for the family. And so we're going to work together to make sure that our finance is up to mark. Yes. And like what I had shared, when my wife used to make more money than me, I didn't feel anyway. In fact, I was the one, she would give me her bank card, I would go and pull the money out. And so at the end of the day, I felt as though hey, you're making it's my money and your money combined together. Guess what? It's a plus because it's coming to the house. It's going to the same
And a few
bills.
years later, it was the reverse.
And reverse.
I was making less than
Yeah.
It's not a competition.
Mhm.
Marriage is not a competition.
Mhm.
Finance is not a competition. You have highs, you have lows, but when it comes to finance, conflicts should not be.
Mhm.
And let me take that back. You will have issues,
Mhm.
but the major ones that would lead you to divorce, that would lead you to
Yeah.
illness and all those things would not be present, right?
Mhm. All right, just want to share. We see Miss Beverly.
Hi, Miss Bev.
Miss Beverly Darlene Reynolds
I
is
see
also
Miss
online.
Coleman.
And Miss Coleman. And Miss Bev posts, it says, life would be much easier, but people are selfish, and that
That's
is
so
true.
true.
It's all about me. And I work so hard for what I have. And I'm not gonna let any man or woman come in and just, acute and just take what I have worked for. No, no. When you marry that person, you marry that person. Even you and let me share it. Let me share this. I really need to share this. When we got married, my wife, I came straight from my parents' home. I didn't have nothing. No, all I had was the clothes on my back and my suitcase with clothes. That's all I had. Now my wife she had a car, she had a house full with furniture and different things. So I had everything basically, but not one day I felt bad because I realized that this is the woman that I married, and so everything that she had was also mine. And she let me know exactly that, hey, whatever you see in here is for us. It's not for me anymore. It's for us. And I felt good because I said to myself, if she could take what belongs to her and said it's for us, then and so that's how it should be. That whatever is for one spouse is for the other, and you work together.
Yeah, so true. All right, so we see Coleman. I'm not sure how you say your first name, but it says, "Hi, I'm single but independent. I'm learning, and I'm happy to. We're happy to have you here tonight." And like we said in the beginning, even though it says conflicts in marriage, at some point in time, you may be thinking about getting married. So some of the points that we're sharing tonight can be helpful for you too.
And just to add to Miss Coleman's situation, my wife was very independent. She started teaching and she was living by herself, and so she had that independency on her, and she was just, but the key thing is that as you're dating and as you're looking for a partner, you just got to restructure your mind to say that when I find my spouse, I will have to look at life differently. No, it's not just me fighting the world, but it's us fighting the world, which means we have to come together with everything that we have to tackle the world. Because when you get married, it's you against it's us against the world. So we have to pull our resources together, pull our everything together, and we tackle the world, and which means we'll have to pull our finance together in line, our resources, and we need to say, hey, honey, babes, this is what we have. Let's work with that. So just to add to Miss Coleman.
Yes, let's go to the next point. Now we're looking at ways how we can resolve our financial conflicts in marriage, and we're at point number 3: schedule budget date nights. Do you have a budget date night? What is it about sitting down and getting that pencil and paper? Why is it so hard? I know it was a challenge for us in the beginning. We would make budgets, and listen to me. When the payday come, that budget is through the door. Like, we could not stick to that budget at all. We could not stick to that budget at all. We were at a point where we had a loan at the payday loan. Then we had a loan at courts. And then we were at JLs for a time. We owe JLs, we owe courts, we owe credit union. We owed everywhere. So by the time the salary came, that money was finished before it came. And I'm like, man, what are we not doing right?
And then you got to go right back and borrow.
Yes. And then you give $50 to courts. Then you drop off a little $50 at JLs. just so that you don't
Mhm.
you don't lose the money you initially had. It was a disaster. And I'm like, Lord, we need to figure this out. We
Mhm.
need to figure this out. And it wasn't until we we learned, we prayed and we asked God to show us how can we manage this little bit, you know, that you have blessed us with. And that's how we were able to
Mhm.
get on the bandwagon. We were able to understand that God, first of all, own all our
Mhm.
money. And so even when you put in your 10%, you pay your 10% your tithe, even the balance, the 90% that is left behind, we should know how to manage it properly.
Mhm.
And so when we came to that realization, we got the hang of, how we could manage your money. In the beginning, it was just me, and I was on it because I said hand to mouth is not for me. I could not handle a hand to mouth at all. And I know for our Belizean audience, hand to mouth is like a norm, but that gives me anxiety. That gives me anxiety, and you might say you're not trusting the Lord, but the Lord set a plan. He
Mhm.
says to plan. He says to set things in order, and you can have a plan and you can have a start, and God will do the rest.
Mhm.
He will do the rest. And so it wasn't until we start to have point number 3, budget date nights,
Mhm.
that we were able to, come in agreement. Because remember, it's not just me alone. Shane had to come on board. I had to guide him along the way in the budgeting, the whole idea. And he saw for himself how things began to
Mhm.
change. We had money that we could have helped ourselves. In the beginning, we could even buy our slippers for ourselves, and because we were professionals.
Mhm.
I was a teacher, he also worked. So we were making good money.
And like what you had shared, once the budget date night, it what it does, it you sit down. We didn't have the kids at the time. You sit down and you say, all right, this is where we're at,
Mhm.
and this is where we need to be. And to be honest, we paid off what, over $11,000 in less than a year.
We did, because both of us agreed together
Mhm.
that this is what we were going to do.
Less than a year, we paid off $11,000, Belize.
Mhm.
And we shared it with people, and they were like, "How you guys did that?" But we came together and we realized that, hey, if we don't get this together, then the interest on that loan will just accumulate. And we came together, we put our money together, and we began to just work from there. And by the time, before the year was out, we paid off $11,000.
Yeah. And you have to live in reality. Live in reality. I'll give you a quick example. Last week was our oldest son's birthday, Sean. And he came and he said, Mommy, I want to have pizza with my classmates, and I want to have cake, and I want to have party bag and soda. And I said, And I look at the finances that we had, and I'm like, this doesn't look like no cake and pizza, no this and no that. So I thought about it for a day. And I said, that's this. I'm not going to go into no big expense for birthday. We sat down with him and explained to him, son, this year we cannot afford pizza. We can't afford to feed the whole class. What we can afford is a cake and soda, and that's it. And he was able to
Mhm.
understand. And so we last Friday we had the little birthday get together in his class. The cake was shared up,
Mhm.
the soda was shared up, and that was it. So sometimes we have to live in a reality.
Mhm.
We want to be doing all kind of thing to be pleasing a whole lot of people that don't even like us. And so live in your reality.
Mhm.
Be realistic, and don't be afraid to say you can't afford it. For us, our monies at this point in time, we're in Jamaica at this time, we're studying, is not to be squandered on no big party, but we gave him what we could afford. He appreciated it. The birthday went on, and
Mhm.
he still had something. So be real with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Your finance is your guide. It will tell you what you can afford and what you can't.
Mhm. So we're at number
Point number 4.
point number 4.
And remember, feel free to share your comments.
Yes, avoid wild exaggerations.
Mhm.
All right. What I saw one time a show where it's called what, Sweet 16 on MTV at the time, and these rich parents would throw these exuberant birthday parties where they will have elephants at the party and they will give them some nice fancy car. No, they're going out their way to spend those money when those same money could have been placed in a bank account. Instead of spending what you don't have, you look at what you can afford and you work from there. So no need to be spending or it's your birthday, I'm going to throw a big party. No need to do that. All right, it's my birthday. I'm going to take it easy this year because of X, Y, and Z. Next, just in other words, just go easy when it comes to spending.
No, I want to put you on the spot. Here I go again. How do you adjust? Say, for example, we're married, and in the beginning of the marriage, you showered me with gifts, and you had money at that time. You showered me with gifts, and you brought this, you brought that, but then things get pelinky. Money started to die down, and no gifts start to come in, and how do you balance that? How do you help your wife to understand that we're in a financial situation right now, and we need to think about how we're spending?
Well, you take it to you pull the paper and the pen out and the pencil.
But you were assuring me in the beginning of the marriage.
But what you do now, you say, all right, I could have it's something that I could have afforded because I was single at the time, which means I didn't have any expense or anything. But no, you have to show your spouse, hey, this is what I'm bringing in, and these are the expenses that we have to manage. Which means after I distribute funds to all these, this is what is left. Now, you might not give the wife, maybe you used to buy Chanel cologne, perfume, and Gucci bag, and
so you mean it's back to Avon
and Prado or Prada bag or whatever bag you buy, and Louis Vuitton. But what you can do is you can say, hey, I can't afford those, but I can afford a bag from Amazon. And you let her pick the bag. you let her go, and you let her comb through Amazon, and you let her buy a bag that costs about $25 US, or $25 or whatever, than buying a bag that costs $100 and something. At the end of the day, you let her realize that it's not the exuberant thing that she's receiving, but the fact that, hey, I am still trying to keep up with what I used to do, just with a smaller budget. All right.
Again, it goes back to living your reality.
Yeah.
Living, if you know you can't keep up with those gifts, and you know you can't keep up with those parties, and you know that you cannot keep up with all these things, then just do it once per year.
Yeah.
Maybe for her birthday, or maybe for Mother's Day. Once per year. If you know you can't buy Gucci bag every time, every celebration, then be real with yourself.
And then you can get also creative. You can buy a nice bag and you can cut out the Gucci and trace out the Gucci and stick it out, and hey, you got your bag.
No. All right, our time is running out.
You want to do number 5.
And now we're looking at number 5. Number
This
4
one is
was avoid exaggeration, live in your reality. Number 5, attack your debt together. Not because it was his school bill or his bill, that means I'm not going to use any of my money to pay his bill. Remember, when you got married, both of you became one, and even the bills that came into the marriage, both of your monies come together to pay those bills off. You agree or disagree? Let me know in the chat.
We see Noreen says here, you do simple things like a cooked meal for her or a foot rub.
That's right.
Good job, Noreen.
But Noreen, listen to me. You still want something from the store, because these men are wise, Every celebration, they just cook meal. You don't get to go to no restaurant.
You know where
I
the bills
don't
are coming
agree.
from.
I don't agree. I don't agree. Foot rub is good and a cooked meal is good, but listen to me. Sometimes you want to go to a restaurant. You want to dress up and go to a restaurant and put your foot on the table. You don't have to help with cooked meal, right? So don't let the men feel like it's just cooked meal you'll be getting and foot rub. At some point in time, even if it's once per year, plan a nice trip. That's what we do. Once per year, plan a nice trip because you don't want to burden down yourself with the budget that you find that you're not even living. In our budget, we put vacation. In our budget, we have a slot there for birthdays. In our budget, we have a slot there for paying ourselves. So it's not like the budget is so rigid where there's no money for you to have for your own pocket. So these are some of the things that we have in our budget that you can have too. The budget is not there to limit you, but it's there to guide your money into the direction it should go.
All right, we see Miss Bev comment. He said, I had the opportunity to go out lunch with a friend. I see her at church all the time. She drives a age car, nothing fancy. She is not fancy. Even when we were leaving, she had a regular t-shirt. A regular t-shirt and sweats. When I pulled up to the address she gave me, I thought I was at the wrong address.
Yeah.
When she came out, my mouth dropped. I couldn't believe the big, beautiful home. Live between your means. We are not Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Live in the reality.
We cannot afford things that they can afford. And so you got to live between your means. You cannot take a vacation to Hawaii or Las Vegas or Jerusalem or wherever if you don't get the finance in check.
I need to be planning for that a year ahead.
Yes.
That's how, listen to me, that's how the rich people do it. That's how the rich people do it. When the year starts, they start to save for the vacation from the beginning of the year.
And it's hard for you to save then if you have to be wrestling with bills. So if you can tackle the bills, and for those who might say, hey, I'm single, okay, you can still tackle the bills by yourself. Look at things that you don't need. Look at things that you realize, hey, that can work, that can wait. You know what, this can wait, but I need to do this now. If you can tackle the things that are urgent, and by tackling those things that are urgent, it will allow you to clear up some funds to tackle the things that are coming up.
Couples might find it a little easier because it's two income coming in, and so you'll find that you'll pay off your debt faster. But if you're single, it's not a challenge. It's not hard. One thing I would encourage you to do is to try to get something to do on the side. If you have a full-time job, a 9 to 5, then maybe take on a little hobby, take on something on the weekend that will help you to pay that bill faster. Maybe you look around in your household, and your house, sell some things that you're not using. You can't use 10 bags in one month. You only need 2, a brown and a black. That's all I have, a brown and a black. And same thing with the shoes. You don't need 20 shoes. You don't need 20 shoes. You only need 3, brown, black, and red. That's all I have. And so you find that you are living a simpler lifestyle. And that's one of the things Noreen had said. You find yourself living a simpler lifestyle. And listen to me, the simpler you live, the better it is.
Less stress.
Less stress. All right, so we are running out of time here. Our next point is to don't be afraid to compromise. Don't be afraid of compromise. The word compromise may not come naturally to you, but if you want to stop fighting over money, it's crucial. While you never want to compromise your integrity or ruin your financial plan, meeting in the middle can lead to great solution. Marriage is all about give and take. So stay on the same page by allowing a little wiggle room on tough topics. Marriage is all about give and take. Right now, Shay needs a pants. We don't have finance to buy all that we need. Because of course I have a wish list. He has a wish list. The boys have their wish list. And so it's his turn to get something from his wish list. And so he's gonna get his pants. When it comes around again, somebody else gonna get something off their wish list. And that's how it goes. You can't buy everything one lick, at one time. So you take turns to get little things. As occasion comes up, Mother's Day, my birthday is coming up. That's the point. That's where you find yourself getting something off your wish list.
And what my wife will she will normally say, not every event that comes up you give away your money to the clothes store, which means not every event that comes up, Christmas and Boxing Day,
get creative.
And you get creative. Maybe last year you bought a blouse and a skirt, and so you change. You use the same blouse, but you change the skirt, which means
get creative.
Yeah, the thing is, what you want to do is it's not that you're being cheap to yourself, but it's just the fact that you're taking control of your finance,
and you have an end result. Remember this. This will not be
forever.
And that's the last point. Keep the end in mind. This path that you're on will not be forever. You'll reach to a point where you won't have any more bills to pay.
Yeah.
You'll reach to a point where you're like, what am I going to do with all this money? And so you will find somebody to bless. And that's the end result. God wants for us not to be bound to that in such a way that we're not able to help anybody. The goal is for you to help others. But who can you help if you are boggled down in debt? You can't help anybody, and so this path that you're on is just to help you along the way to clear up, this debt that you are a slave to, because you are literally a slave to this debt. It's so much of a debt that it's like chains around your neck. And especially if you have a debt to the bank, they're not playing. You better make sure that you have their monies to put in at the end of that month, and they will be coming for whatever you have there, and so the Lord don't want us to be slaves to debt and slaves to our finances. These are little things that the enemy is using to cause conflict in marriage. And as long as you can get a hold of it, yourself, your husband, both of you can sit down and agree and say, this is the plan that we're going to do. These are the goals that we're going to work towards. The enemy have no room. He won't have any room to come into your household, especially through finance, because now you are in agreement. And he doesn't like when you're in agreement. He likes when marriages is separated, and so this is why we wanted to spend this time tonight in sharing a few points on how to resolve financial conflicts in marriage. It's not as hard as it sounds. I need to agree, my husband needs to agree that this is what we will do together. Remember, it's not a competition. We are working together for one cause. We're working together for one goal, and through it all, the ultimate goal should be for us to live and be happy.
Yeah.
And money is one of the things that will not bring happiness, but it will help you along the way towards the things that you enjoy, like taking a little vacation, taking a little break. You can't take break, you can't take vacation if you are, like my kids would say, black, broke, and busted. If you're always broke, you won't have any money to take any vacation. You deserve a vacation, man. You work too hard for not to have a vacation. You deserve to get that degree that you've always wanted to get. You work too hard not to be able to afford that. And these are the things that we are able to afford because we have taken a hold of our finances. Right now we are in Jamaica, we're studying. Both of us are students. And even though we are here, we are still on the same path with our finances. Same budget, the same, we didn't change anything. I mean, the currency changed. Jamaican money is different from Belize's currency, but still, we are still on the same financial
And even
path as we were back home.
and even when my family, when my aunt or my brother, my mom or my dad would send us a little blessing, a little finance, we take that not because they would send the money, they a little do something towards us, mean that we were going to squander the money.
Yeah.
We take that money and we put it along with the budget, and we try our best to see how we can, allow the money to go to something that we might need to pay off or something like that. So not because you might have an extra means, hey, I have an extra, I'm just going to squat. No, you never know when you might need that down the road. So you got to factor that into your overall budget as well.
Of course. Did you have fun tonight?
Yes, it was fun.
Yes, I truly had fun too. I'm glad that we were able to not only talk on a serious topic, but we were able to laugh. We were able to share some of our own experiences, and we were able to spend the time with you. I am hoping that you were blessed and that you learned something tonight that can help you along the way.
Yes.
If you're married or not, I'm praying that something that we shared tonight may have been a blessing to you. As we close out tonight, we want to thank you so much for joining us again. We want to be able to share more of these very important financial topics. We don't talk about finance much, and so finance, like I said in the beginning, is our passion, and we are on a journey to help others to learn and to win with money, so that you can be able to live and give just as God wants for us to do. He wants for us to live, enjoy life, and he also wants for us to be able to give to others.
Amen.
All right, any final thoughts?
Well, it's either, for me, I believe that if you can take control of your finance, you can take control of your situation in terms of your health. All right. It's very important to know that it will, taking control of my finance will avoid from me to get high blood pressure, because no, I'm not worrying about how my bills will be paid, or I won't be worrying about how I'm going to pay for school. But so once you can take control of your funds, your finance, it goes a long way. And not only that, but what is very important is the fact that while you're trying to managing your funds, you pray and you ask God to give you direction.
Yes.
You ask the Lord to say, Lord, this is what I'm making. How can I take this and divide it to allow it to run me and pay all my bills? And I'm telling you, when you put everything in the Lord's hand, when you put your finance in the Lord's hand, you will see how he works. He take what is little and make it much.
Yes.
So it's important that you put your finance in God's hand, and God is going to do the rest for you.
Yes. So with that, friends, we want to thank you again for joining us, and have a blessed night.
Amen.